Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the very first One Hub Racing stream of 2022. Can you believe it? It's almost been 2 months since our last race, but we are ready to get going, and what a way to open it with 8 cracking races on ACC. The drivers will be racing around 7 different countries and 8 different circuits, all in a bid to become ACC champion for their specific class. There's been quite a few changes this season, but we'll go through all of them in just a moment. We're going to try and get all of them in 5 minutes, which is going to be quite tricky, but I'm sure we'll get through it. One of the major changes, John is not going to be here tonight. He's at work. He will be back next week. For this week and for certain rounds this season, you've got myself in the commentary box once again. My name is Jess Ball, for those of you that don't know me. But joining me and John's side once again is someone we loved so much last season. We invited him to commentate with us once again. It is someone who also races a lot on ACC and knows a lot what the drivers are going through. It is my favourite Italian. It is Christian. How are you doing tonight, Christian?
Hi, Jess. All good, actually. It's great to be back here to commentate on those beautiful races that we will see in OHR. I think it will be a magnificent season, mostly because of a lot of drivers have been back from season 1, some are from season 2, and some are new. So it's gonna be a bit of an exciting season.
I am very excited already. I've been excited about this all day, all evening, ready to get this moment out the way. So, major change this season compared to last season is the cars that some of our drivers will be racing this season. We still got the GT3s. The GT3s will be coming back, but also racing alongside the GT3s will be the GT4. So there will be a multi-class race involved for all 8 rounds of the championship. And only 10 drivers will be racing GT3s and 10 drivers will be racing GT4s. And it makes it all even more exciting. All 20 drivers will still be in the same race, but whoever comes out on top of the GT3s will win a trophy and a £25 Amazon or PSN gift voucher. The same prize gets given out to the winner of the GT4 category as well. Plenty of incentives for the drivers to do well, isn't it, Christian?
Yeah. I think the major thing to look at is the fact that the GT3s need to get over the GT4s as quickly as possible, but also as safely as possible. And it probably will be the key factor in these races. How fast will the GT3 drivers be able to lap the GT4 drivers more than the GT3 fight in itself? Because if you have a gap and you encounter someone else slower than you, which is a GT4 is pretty much 20 seconds a lap slower, 15 or 20, you need to be very careful to the places where to overtake, where to wait, where to put the overtake, trying to maybe put the slower cars as an obstacle for your rivals. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see also the tactic into the race, apart from the pit stops and etc.
Yes, that is going to be even more of a factor with, obviously, the GT4s having to be lapped by the GT3s as well. And yes, the pit windows as well. Each driver can't pit until the allocated pit window, which is usually halfway through the race. And not in the sprint races, though, because obviously they don't have to pit during the sprint races. So we're going to talk about the rules as the drivers get into qualifying, but because we only have 1 minute left of free practice, let's go through the teams and drivers that are going to be racing. Each team has a GT3 driver and a GT4 driver. So we're going to do it in alphabetical order because I thought it's the most easiest. So Belgium Waffle team, we've got ERT Samba and we have got ERT Arnaud. So ERT Samba, they've got on, both of them got on very well as well, and it's both of them, I believe, is their first season in One Hub Racing ACC. Another ERT team, we've got Milden and Eddie, loving the blue-looking themed deliveries for ERT there for BMW. Of course, they'll be driving in the BMWs for their respective classes. Greentown Motorsport, we've got Corrado 998 and NRLR Bowers. Corrado making another appearance because he was racing last season. NRLR Bowers is its first season at One Hub Racing with us. And you may know him from Never Last Racing, so nice to see some fans from him in the chat. Carpati boys, we got Mikel Gallo and Thomas Caesar. Apologies if I said those names wrong. Those are both their first seasons with us in ACC. In the Martini racing car, both in the Porsches, actually. We've got Essa Pikul, a driver that me and Christian know very well. And we are very excited to see how these two race. And we've got Flip Boudou as well, having his first season with us. In RCG racing team, we've got Jason, and Rageman, both of them with their second season with us on ACC side. Obviously, they're well known for the Formula 1 side too, so great to see them here. And those are their cars as well. Rageman, I love him because he's in the Audi. Floppy Fox is in a Ferrari, along with a team with Corey. Corey is an ERT driver, and it's his first season with us on ACC. He's very excited to get going and get racing at One Hub again. And they're called Scramble Legs. I love that name. The leftovers, we've got Fly Sky. I'm not gonna attempt to say the last bit of his name because I might pronounce it wrong. Fly Sky's in the Gt3, and his teammate is a well-known content creator and streamer on Twitch, and also an ERT person. It is Badgerman. So good to have him on board because he was also a commentator back in the day at One Hub, and now he's turned the commentator role to racing. So great to see him here. Volkswagen Racing. We have got the Audi and the Porsche together. We've got Apex Rogue in the GT3. And, of course, we've got Split, ex-champion from last season, Car Mentalist. And finally, just in time, how cool is that? We've got the final team, both ERT drivers, ERT Camo Babo and ERT Khalifa. So those are the 10 teams and 20 drivers that will be racing this season. What do you think about this lineup, Christian?
There are some favorites and there are some surprises, as always. I think the favorite one, for me, in my opinion, for the GT4 is Car Mentalist. I've always been pretty honest about him, and he has an extraordinary pace, especially on race, more than qualifying. He's able to put great flaps in qualifying, and to put even a better race pace, pretty consistent, with very little mistakes in the race. And considering it's a 60 minutes race, you can do mistakes, but if you don't, it's a bit better. And in an hour, there are more chances to do one. And he's one of the drivers that it's very rare you can find him on the grass. For GT3, I think it's probably one of the most promising drivers I've encountered so far, which is Floppy Fox. In some months, in the span of 4 or 5 months, he managed to find an extraordinary pace. He has completely flipped himself. 5 months ago, he was, I'll be honest, 1 second slower than himself now. And he's doing a stellar job to improving himself, and I've raced with him, and I'm quite surprised by the incredible pace he's starting to have, and he's becoming very, very fast, and he's probably going to be one of the top level drivers in his class. The surprise could be Rogue. Rogue last season did a pretty good middle season. There were some top, some down, and it was a bit of a roller coaster for him. Like it was clear that he had the pace. It's just that he couldn't really manage to finish the job. And I think with some more preparation, he may be able to get himself in the first rows. Also, some surprises I can't be. Are surprises, so I can't just say a name and hopefully be right. But there are a lot of names, and we could see also some clear out of the water drivers. And I saw in practice, in the practice session, that Michael Gallo was the first in his class, and I'm not sure if it was if he was trying to a quali pace or a race run. In either case, he was the first in the leaderboard, so he may be one of the surprises.
Yes, so we are in qualifying, as you can see, and slightly changed the qualifying format for this season. It is split into two 10-minute sessions in the full 20-minute qualifying. So the GT4s are up first. They'll be doing their qualifying, so the GT3s will be taking a nice rest for 10 minutes whilst the GT4s are setting their lap times. And then straight after that, with 10 minutes to go, then the GT3s will take centre stage and do their qualifying session. And what a great track to start this season with Snetterton. And it is 2.969 kilometres long. It's Snetterton's longest layout and second longest racing track in the country. One of the post-war generation of ex-airfield circuits. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. We've of course got turn 2 heading into Montreal. We also got turn 4, 7, 8 and 10 as well. And most of the corners are actually named after Formula 1 references. We've got the Senna Straight heading towards turn 1. We've got the Hamilton as well. We've got Murray's named after Murray Walker, of course, Brundle. And it's just such a nice circuit. It's great to see. So we've got a few drivers about to cross the line to finish their laps. So Flip sets the first time on the board in a number 888 car with a 1:59.034. And then we've got a few more cars coming across the line to finish their laps as well. I'm just trying to keep an eye on who's on track at the moment. It's quite difficult. We've got Thomas across the line now. I believe he might be starting his lap, actually. No, he goes fastest by a tenth. The times are getting very close already. So we've had 3 people set times. Don't forget, since they only have 10 minutes, the drivers don't have very long at all. We've got Khalifa slots his time slot into P3, so looking good. So he'll be going into the pits. We'll go through someone's lap in a second, actually. But good to see Thomas up there. Now, at the moment, as we've seen Rageman going on a trip to the grassing of Valtteri Bottas there right now as well. And I think we're seeing a few people having a bit of off as well. That's probably why a few people are struggling there as well. What is different between the GT4s and the GT3s, do you think? Because there's some people that have come from Formula 1 and don't know the differences between the two classes.
Well, the major difference is the aero package. In GT4, it's pretty much stock. The car has very little aero edits. It has a wing, obviously. A bit of a sort of diffuser, but nothing too extreme. That's it. Basically, it has the whole car. It's nothing to add up. In terms of aero, the major thing is just the wing and the rear diffuser in some sort of diffuser. But other than that, it's basically the stock car completely taken out of everything that is useless, like rear seats, passenger seat. The whole car is also there are some little wings on the front, but the major thing is the fact that in terms of aero, it's a lot less aerodynamic package. So the advantage in this is the fact that GT4s are able to are some sort of touring cars, late 90s, 2000 touring cars. So they are great for battling. You can carry on even with damages without any problem. I remember in a race where my teammate had like 14 seconds of damage and he literally lose 0.0 seconds in his pace. So they are actually very good for fighting and some great side-by-side, head-to-head battles could be done very easily. You don't need some extreme setup changes. You don't need to study the car in every single factor of its own, because the thing is the fact that in terms of setup they are very simple. It's the real key in these cars is the driver, is the way that he runs, and the way that his effective skills are what changes in the in the scoreboard in GT4s. The final thing is the fact that you can really push these cars. These cars are really really good on their limit. Like GT3s are like you have to go on 95% on a GT3, because if you slightly go over the limit, you can spin or go complete understeer and go out, or getting a sort of bot effect where the like your turning right and the left side goes too much down and you get the other side around because it's like a bot. In GT4 you can just throw the car and hope for the best. that's the thing that likes the I appreciate the most about these cars, because I really love them, but there aren't a lot of leagues that are running them, and luckily here in OHR we have both GT3 and GT4 to get a brilliant battle between them, and you can really push them hard as you want, and you don't get any particular difficulty in that. Even this factor is also important for new drivers. In fact, for new drivers, I think the best advice I can give is do races with GT4s. I see a lot of people trying to get as fast as possible with the car with the fastest setup possible, while you just need to understand the car, the track, the physics, and etc. So starting with GT4 is extremely good, but it's also extremely fun because these cars are just another type of driving, and they are so lovely to watch, but also to drive. While GT3 really needs some setup tricks. You need to study the car, you need to study the different effects the setup gives you. The cars have a bop on its own for every single track also. Also, obviously, there is the power difference. If I remember correctly, is about 100 or so horsepower of difference. If I remember correctly. So altogether, you get a slower car, obviously, but it's so fun, and it's unfortunate that it's a DLC in the game. I would have put it free because they are so fun to drive.
I to be fair, I enjoy racing the GT4s around ACC. It's a lot of fun, but we will have to cut our conversation short because the GT4 qualification is over. We didn't actually get a chance to go for a lap around Snetterton, but it is Car Mentalist that takes pole position in GT4s. A man that has been really, really powerful in the ACC leagues that we do at One Hub Racing. Has been top in every single season he does. First in our inaugural season where there was no splits, and in the top split he was top. So he is going to show that why he's top of everything. So your order for GT4 then, before the GT3s do their laps, is Car Mentalist on pole, Flip will be second, Thomas will be third, Khalifa will be fourth, the top four separated by 7/10 per second, Corey in fifth, Arnaud will be sixth, and actually Arnaud set the same time as Bowers there, so I have to say, fair play to both of them. We've got Badgerman in 8th position. He was aiming not to be last place, and guess what? He's not last. And we've got Eddie in 9th position, and I think I need to actually check. No, Jason in the GT3. Okay, and I believe that's every single GT4 available. And we'll move on to the GT3s now, the big guns that we've came to love and know since the very beginning. So there are car variations between the GT3 class. The engine placement is quite different as well. And the difference to Formula 1, for those of you that are new, the TC and ABS is on. It's used in real life and in the game. And the engine sizes can vary from 3.5 litres to 6.2 litres on V8 and 2 for V10s as well. And the rear engine cars can have their aero at the front, whereas their front engine cars have balanced aero as well. So we'll keep an eye on our first drivers to set the time in sports. Although we'll keep an eye on Mikel Gallo as well, who was a driver who was on top in practice. But I wonder if a few people were sandbagging practice a little bit and just was focusing on getting their eye on the track a bit more as well. So a few drivers were asked in the pre-race interviews on why they chose the car of choice. And Mikel Gallo said, very easy choice because I did not drive a car other than the Bentley. So he has gone for the Bentley this time. Camo Babo chosen the Bentley in season 1, and before his hiatus in 100 Racing ACC, he was using that. So the obvious choice was for going back into that as well. And who's the other GT3? We've got Floppy Fox. He was happy with the Ferrari. He might change for next season, but he's happy with the Ferrari at the moment. And I'm just trying to see and Milden was thinking Bentley until days ago, and a late switch to the M6, which he's making good progress with. So there we go. Those are a few thoughts. We'll go through a few questions as they go and go through a few rules as they go as well. Excuse me, my voice is going. There's a few cars almost coming together there as Floppy Fox comes across the line. We've got 2 cars actually coming across the line to finish their laps. 148.1 goes Floppy Fox. So we got Samba not that far behind, and we get Apex Road, Camo Babo. The times are coming in right now, and Rageman's in the pits actually. So I don't know. Oh, nope, he's in the GT4. So Rageman did not set time, I don't think. I mean, that's probably why. He probably wants to opt for the back of the grid. Corrado comes across the line in 5th, and that will leave Milden, the last of our GT3 drivers, to set a representative lap time. So here he comes to the line. So let's see what he could do. The wind speed is about 2 kilometers an hour at the moment, and it's a 147.9. Just like last season, pretty much all the races, the weather is random, so we don't know what the weather's going to be like until the drivers get into the session, but it looks like it's completely clear. But so far, Milden is up top in the GT3s, but we do expect it because he did well last season and he did well in season 1, just missing out on the season 1 title to Car Mentalist, Christian.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised by Milden actually. It's pretty famous in the Assetto Corsa community that the BMW is basically the slowest car ever made in a game. So I'm actually surprised that he got pole for now. I don't want to jinx him. Sorry if I do. But I'm quite surprised by the Beamer. I just pictured, because honestly, it's one of the worst cars. Seriously, it's if not the worst car on the grid, and he still managed to nearly put it on pole. Sorry,
there we go. Apex Rogue. 147.3, 4 tenths quicker than Floppy Fox. Floppy Fox crossed the line in P2, so Milden was misplaced there by Apex Rogue, another driver to keep an eye on. Apex Rogue, I have to say, was a dark horse. He came from F1, but did a lot of ACC in the past as well, not as much as the other guys. And he got his first podium in the first race of the season last season in, I think it was in a pre-season race as well, where he did well at Donington Park. And he's shown that he's a man who's not to be underestimated. So great to see him up there as well. The GT3 drivers are quite close. Jason, the driver who admits on his day would be near the back of the GT3 class. But he wants to fight a few duels on track and just set a good pace in these conditions. Eddie, the most important goal in get racing for him is to improve on your own laps and consistency. The results are consequence. So, to be honest, Eddie is hoping that consistency is key. Eddie has got obviously a lot of work to do, but he is doing quite well at the moment. So, I was saying Corrado just wants to have good races. Apex Road wants to try and aim for top 3 because he was so close last season. And Rageman is open for P5 in class. And Corey just said he wants to have fun at the moment. I'll just pick in a few drivers at random as well. We will go through obviously all of them very, very soon. We'll go through a few rule changes compared to last season, as we didn't have time to go through it during the time because we had to sort out a few technical hitches, which, believe it or not, it was fixed, luckily, so thank goodness. So, all drivers must complete a pit stop within the pit window for both tyres and fuel this season. And obviously, the qualifying sessions are different for GT3, GT4 first, GT3 last. If they don't come into the pits during their pit window, which is 30 minutes into the race, they will be referred to the stewards and they could get a penalty, disqualified, whatever. And drivers will need to pick one car in the whole event, so all the cars we're seeing at the moment will be the cars that will be in the race. The Apex Rogues in the Audi. John will like this, Christian. He's Floppy Fox in the Ferrari. So, John, if you're watching this back, you're probably going to be rooting for this man because he's in your beloved Ferrari. Shame you're missing this, my friend, due to work, but good to see you in spirit. He's only 2-1 numbers slower than Apex Rogue, so he's very quick right now at the moment, as this track is very technical to get right as well. A few people are on their in-laps at the moment before they start their one final laps at the moment as well. And there's going to be 2 sprint races. Well, 2 rounds where there's going to be sprint races, which will be Zandvoort and Barcelona, round 3 and round 6. And for the final round this season, we will be at Paul Ricard, and it will be the 90-minuter, the one that we all go to grow and love. But every other race this season, rounds 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7, there'll be 60 minutes. So tonight will be 60-minute race, and we'll see if anyone is about to cross the line or set their final lap. As Apex Rogue, I think, is about to start his final lap. He backed off a little bit. We got the number 8 of Floppy Fox. I have to say Apex Rogue and Floppy Fox are going to be contenders with Milden as well, because the Audi and the Ferrari are quite fast around here. So we'll see what both of them can do as they cross the line for one final time to set their final lap. And we've got the 209 car of Mikel Gallo, a second down on his previous best. He's about to start. Everyone's about to start their final laps. It is crunch time from these guys. Samba won't be going again. He just set another lap time, 4 tenths slower than P1, but he slots himself into 4th place. Corrado in P5. So qualifying is about to end, and the times are coming in thick and fast. We'll see who is about to get pole position. It is getting close, Christian, isn't it?
0.066 between 3 drivers, and the only one that can effectively put another time is Floppy Fox, because Rogue drifted through a turn.
Yeah, he did.
So
that was a bit interesting.
Yeah, I think it was like it was turn 4 if I'm correct, and I noticed he was sliding around the turn, so I don't think he's gonna improve his time. But Floppy Fox is still on his own in a effective valid lap, and among the 3 there is less than a tenth, and the BMW is in pole, so it's gonna be I don't know.
Yeah, Milton's on pole
there is a race.
At the moment. Milton's on pole at the moment. The only person that could replace him is Floppy Fox, maybe Corrado as well, but we're going to be watching Floppy Fox finish his lap as he comes towards the final corner. Can he improve on his time and get pole position? No.
Nope.
So he only manages P3, and that will mean, unless Corrado could do anything about it, Milden is on pole position by 3 100ths of a second. So Milden is on pole for the GT3 class. Car Mentalist will be on pole for the GT4 class. So we run for your GT4. Let's run for your GT3 grid. We've got ERT Milden on pole. Apex Rogue in second. Floppy Fox third. Samba fourth. Corrado fifth. Mikel Gallo in 6th, Camo Baba in 7th, Jason in 8th position. And I think that's all the GT3s today, because we've got Fly, who's not here, and quite a few drivers that are missing. So let's have a quick look at the calendar whilst the drivers get their setups ready for the race. So the calendar that we have got, so we got Snetterton here today. We head to Laguna Seca for round 2 of the season. Then we head to Zandvoort. Then for the sprint race, then we got Mount Panorama, the dreaded Bathurst, where actually the World Cup, the Esports World Cup visited on the weekend. I really enjoyed watching that, actually. So that's going to be a huge spectacle. I actually get to commentate Bathurst because John won't be here that week. So very excited for that one. And we got Mazzano round number 5. I remember when I first got ACC, Mazzano used to be a bit of a meme in one of the communities I'm in. So don't know why, but there we go. Barcelona is round 6. which is another sprint race. Alton Park, round 7. And the final round at the end of March will be Paul Ricard, and that will be an endurance race. Quick mention of our sponsors. We got quite a lot this season. One of our newest sponsors to the league is the company that has been powering the league this season, been controlling all the standings, helped us with sign-ups and all that jazz, and has been supporting us in many ways. It is SimGrid. They'll also be partnering us with on the F1 side as well. So thank you to SimGrid for all your help and support so far in getting this sign-up sorted and getting all the stuff on the website and stuff like that. And when you see the standings on the website, it's going to be cool. Make sure you follow us on SimGrid as well. Appreciated to get the followers. Our next main sponsor, Next Level Racing, they've been partnering us pretty much since the early days on F1. And they sponsor the league by providing our direct drive stand to the driver who gets the most drivers of the days in F1. That's last season. 3M Sim Racing sponsors the league as well. They provide a pair of sim racing gloves to a few of the F1 guys as well. Who knows, it could come to ACC, hopefully. And we also got our partners, Vespertine, that provide our merch for us. You can go onto their website, search for One Hub Racing and get our merch, and also support our championship prizes. And our final sponsor and partner is ERT Elite Racing Team, who have a few drivers racing in tonight, and they're going to be partnering the ERT Going Gets Tough Award, which every driver can participate in. All they need to do is complete all their media day stuff, which is pre and post race interviews, and finish outside the top 3 in their split. And also our final partner is very, very important. It's good to talk if you're feeling down. We also have the Mental Health Foundation partnering us as well. So if you're feeling down at one point, make sure you get help, because you definitely do not want to suffer in silence as well. So we are about to get underway for the formation lap then. Very, very exciting. It's a nice sunset evening here in Snetterton right now. So we'll be doing a rolling start. Obviously, the GT3s will be first. And then, of course, will be the GT4. So there will be a bit of a gap as well. So obviously, the GT...
there is already a surprise.
What?
Corsa didn't put the car on the grid in time.
Oh,
He started from the pit lane.
That is one thing the drivers have got to remember. They've got a set time limit to get onto the grid. They've got 2 minutes. It's not like Formula 1, where if you do not ready up, the AI will just let you go for you. In ACC, it's a lot different. If you don't ready up within the 2 minutes, you will be starting at the back, and you have to wait until all the GT3s get past and all the GT4s get past, which is absolutely nightmare. So Corey has already done a bottle already in ACC, and the worst thing about it is he's in ERT. So Dexter is probably being very cross with Corey at the moment, saying, Corey, what have you done? So, massive shout out to all of our ERT drivers, actually 7 of them in total. We've got Milden, we have got Eddie, we've got Khalifa, we've got Camo Babo, we've got Arnold, we've got Samba, we've got Corey, and we've got Badgemans. No, there's 8. There's 8. Okay, there's 8, not 7. There we go. Thank you to all our ERT drivers, obviously, because ERT provide a lot of help and support for this league. All of our ERT drivers have got free entry into this league. Oh, this is very, very exciting. I hope you guys are excited. Get your hype stuff in the chat. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to win each split. Are you excited for the One Hub ACC season to begin? Miltos, I believe, who was from ERT. Well, big welcome to you. Tom, big welcome to you as well. We got Dexter as well. Colin's in the chat as well. Evil Dragon, we got Johannes as well. And Fly, massive shout out to you as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the racing wherever you are on holiday, and best of luck when you join us next week. I'm gonna put you on the spot here before we start, very, very quickly though, because we're about to start. Who's gonna win GT3 and who's gonna win GT4 for this race?
the three in front are literally separated by me blinking my eye. So I can throw a dice and say that the result is that one. Honestly, I don't know.
So you don't know?
In GT3, no. In GT4, probably car mentalist. He made Alpha second in qualifying. As I said, his race pace is even better than his quali pace. So if the qualifying went good, the race will be even better. But the main thing is the fact that probably it will be night before the race ends. So it will be a bit of a spicing in the race, because some drivers are better in the day and some drivers are better in the night.
Well, yes, we're about to get started as they all head towards the center straight. The sun is beaming down, and all Milden's got to do is have the best start as he possibly can. The start of 100 Racing ACC Season 3 is about to get underway. And we are go, go, go. Let's see who has the better run. Head towards turn 1. We're looking at Apex Rogue on the right-hand side. He's had a good start as well. As they head towards turn number 1, Milden, not quite the best of starts, but you probably would expect it in the BMWs as they head towards Riches and Montreal as well. And there's a tight bend as they head towards Oggies as well. We'll keep on the night on the GT4s. In just a moment, there's quite a bit of a gap there between those as well, because obviously they're 10 seconds slower, but it is Apex Rogue that leads the GT3s, Milden in second, Samba in third place. But now, let's see how our GT4s are doing on the grid right now, as they're doing the F1 thing where the timings are going absolutely crazy. There we go, so it's Car Mentalist that leads is it? I'm not entirely sure. Or is he the back? Did he spin? I don't know. It's hard to tell because the timings have not updated. But it is Apex Rogue that is leading the field away, as we're seeing quite a few battles in the GT4s as well. We got Arnaud having a tense battle with Thomas as well as they make their way. I'm trying to remember what this next section is. I believe I'm trying to see. I think it's near. I think it's towards near Nelson and Bombhole coming up at the moment. So we're seeing Arnold almost trying to get a move there as well. We got Eddie trying to make moves too. There's lots of moves being made as well, as someone's almost gone off. That's Bowers. That almost got the move done at Eddie, but he didn't. Obviously cooler temperatures here in Snetterton because it is at night. It is 8 PM right on the gearbox at the moment in the GT4. And this is incredible stuff from these drivers. So the pit lane is open, but the pit lane window is not open yet. Kamabab is in the pit, so he must have got damage then. He must have got damage.
No. I think he's gonna try to get on another tactic, because I saw him battling so hard in the first lap, but he didn't touch any other cars. I think he just want to get on the pits, change tires, put 1 liter of fuel and get back on track and do 1 hour of race with the same set of tire, which is a bit of suicidal tactic, but maybe it works in terms of position, because also Snetterton is a very difficult track to overtake on. So maybe he wants to get some very clean air and put the hot laps into the race as soon as possible, and towards the 40-minute mark he will be in front of some other drivers. If it works, kudos to him.
Yeah, well, you can see the number 1 next to their name, which means when the pit lane window opens, once they pit, it will show green with no number. Camo Babo pitted outside that pit. Camo Babo pitted outside that pit window, which means he will need to pit 1 more time in order for the mandatory pit stop to count, as we're seeing Floppy Fox getting very tasty there, going side by side almost there as well. That's a common place to overtake there as they head towards the next bend around here. This is a track where my mum and dad used to watch. I think this is the corner where my mum and dad watched in the BTCC back in 2019, and they very much enjoyed that as well. We got some movement in the GT4s as well. Bowers is trying to pressurise Badgerman for a move as well to see if he can try and go, but someone's gone off actually in the background. That is Rageman. That is Rageman that's gone off. He's in the gravel, and I don't think I'm trying to see if he's got damage. I don't think so. Ooh. He was very lucky.
A GT3 is off.
A GT3 is off. We need to find out which GT3 it
the 97.
The 97, that's Samba.
He was in third position.
In third position, and he's had a bit of an off, and that is the likes of Floppy Fox and Corrado that could get past him. What a shame for the number 97 there, who had a brilliant qualifying session. And I have to say, a bit of a shame, but he only lost, I think, oh, he's dropped down to 6th now. What a shame, which will allow the likes of Jason to catch up to him as well, but it could have been worse for Samba at this moment in time, but luckily it was not, so that is great to see. What about the battle for the lead then? Let's go on the cheeky onboard view then between these guys. Milden versus Apex Rogue for the lead. Apex Rogue, I'm not used to seeing him at the front on the GT3 side, but I have to say, fair play to him. He's had one of the best starts I've ever seen in Snetterton, and I forgot to turn the racing line off on ACC, so when you go on board, you probably still be able to see it. I'll need to turn it off next week, well, in 3 races time when we go racing again, but at least you can't see it when we're in this shot as well. And look at this, Floppy Fox is also in this fight as well. A 3-way fight for the lead. It's getting intense as well, and Corrado could catch up as well as they head past the centre straight, heading towards turn 1. So very, very tight heading towards this bend into turn 2 as well. Again, not being able to make the move, but I have to say Milden doing a brilliant job in the BMW. Not many people went for the BMWs, apart from one team. Very, very brave as well. And Milden's last lap time actually was a 1:48.5. I'll keep an eye on Apex Rogue's time in just a moment as well, because they've already done a few laps. But it's good to see that battle as well. And I think you can also see, if I get the right camera, you can see Floppy Fox on the back, but I think he's a second behind. I don't think he's going to catch up anytime soon, unfortunately. So he's got a lot of work to do, but anything can happen in One Hub Racing. ACC and Evil Dragon saying in the chat, BMW is a big boy. Yes, it is a big boy. It really is, but we could see Milden try and go for a move here. He's not going to go for the move. He's going to wait ever so patiently at this moment in time. So we're going to go back to the GT4 action, and it is not as close battle for the lead as we would have hoped. Car Mentalist leads Flip by 2.7 seconds. And then we got Khalifa in 3rd in the GT4 class. 1.8 seconds back to Khalifa is Arnold, it's ERT compatriot. And the closest battle in the GT4 class is Thomas Sizer and Arnold as well. So good to see that. And we got Mikhail Garlo and Corrado. Actually, this is the closest battle on track. Hold on a minute. Here we go. This is the first side-by-side action we're seeing all race as they head towards turn 1. Is he going to go around the long way around? He does not, as I will see Corrado trying to cover off Gallo. Now heading towards turn 2. We've got Gallo trying to go for another lunge there as well. But again, being very, very patient. He's just around about 6/10 off of Corrado. But I have to say, some good racing, but he was not able to pull it off. Well, Gallo is in the Bentley, and the McLarens are a lot easier to handle than the Bentleys. But I have to say, fair play if you're running the Bentleys or the BMWs around Snetterton. I have to say, as they clip the curb there, a bit of gravel as well, but no harm done.
Battle for a position GT4 between the 92 and 27, because Eddie is in the inside in turn 1, trying to overtake the Aston of Badgerman. Eddie is still on the inside on turn 2, probably trying the late braking on the hairpin, but he's not close enough. Still he is, and he's sticking to the inside, but he's gonna be the outside in the next turn, in turn 3, while the Bentley of Kamababu is trying to get to over them, but I think he needs to wait them because they are still battling in their class, and they are still side by side, even in turn 4. Now the BMW is maybe 3 wide.
This is amazing stuff as well. The number 20 just about holding on, to Eddie there, and they've got the problem now of cars which are even faster trying to get past as well, and we got Camo Babo in this fight as well. Freeway fight.
Oh no, somebody's a guy off the track.
Someone's gone off the track. I will keep
Somebody's
an eye.
off track
That is a
again.
number 20 something. I don't know what car it is, but it's a number 20 something, I have to say. So,
No, it's 97.
it's
the Porsche Samba.
It's Samba again. He is not having a good race, but we're going to still see. Oh my God, it's now coming. It's going to be free abreast into this next corner. Can they keep it clean? They're trying to as well as Camo Babo. What a brilliant move to get past Badgerman. His ELT compatriot up into 6th place in class. And fair play to all three of these drivers. And Camo Babo is now going to go for a move on Thomas. Oh my word, they're just battling, going everywhere right now. And I can't remember what turn it is as they head towards the final corners of the centre straight then. Camo Babo doing all he needs to do as well. Here comes, I think, Eddie is not quite close enough as well to the likes of Badgerman. Can he go for a lunge into turn 1? Not as close as the last lap, but I have to say that was absolutely incredible. And if you're a fan of any of those three drivers, Badgerman, Eddie or Camo Babo, you'll be absolutely loving this right now. But I think the star there had to be Camo Babo with his impressive performance, and he capitalised on those two battling, and he's like, you know what, I'll go for the move. So fair play, that was incredible with the GT4s. Hopefully we can see the same for the GT3s, maybe with Gallo and Corrado.
I still don't understand effectively the tactic of Camo Babo talking about him, because effectively
Oh,
before
Camo's a GT3, I just realised that.
Yes, he has a Bentley.
Oh yeah, we will get used to it. We will get used to it. It is hard. Obviously, he is a faster class as well, so he's trying to make his way through other classes. Do apologise. Do apologise. Sorry, Dexter. We will get used to it as the season goes on. So here comes Camo Babo past, I believe, Khalifa, which is his teammate. So
The fact is that Bentley is effectively battling for position, because he pit. Oh no, the Porsche of Khalifa is off track.
Who's off track? That's no. That's.
Oh, the Bentley nearly touched him. I think he's just in the middle of the line.
That's Khalifa.
He
He's
needs
got to
to
move
wait
out the
for
way. He's got to move out the way.
everyone.
And oh my goodness, that car. I don't know which car it was. It was the AMG car that was riding the curbs nicely there. If it was an F1 car, it would have a bit of damage there. And we've got Royalty in the chat, who is watching the stream whilst he's working or just come back from work. I don't know. Hello, John. How you doing, my friend? Hope to see you next week, my friend. But we miss you in the commentary. But it's weird, isn't it, not having John commentate on the action? He hasn't missed a single race in ACC covering the action.
Oh no, Thomas Cesare is off track.
Yeah, I did
And
see
damages,
Gallo off track. Yeah, this corner
No, Thomas
can be
Cesare.
a tank zapper. That corner could be a tank zapper for all involved. We've seen not one, not two, but 3 cars as well. Just try and get some battles in as well. That's just absolutely intense, to tell you the truth, as well. And we've got 47 minutes on the clock. Not quite where the pit window as well. We got Floppy Fox. He is chasing in that Ferrari.
Oh, another off track, and there's big crash for him. Eddie's off track and does
Eddie's
7th
off
position
track.
and also damages.
Eddie's off track. That is a huge crash on the bend as well. Thomas has got to try and get past in the BMW. What a shame there. So Eddie, unfortunately, has had a bit of a knock, but Floppy Fox has found an extra 2 turns on Milden this lap as well, which is allowing Apex Rogue to close in as well. Well, to increase the gap as well on these drivers. So 45 minutes to go. Of course, this is the first race of the ACC League for Season 3. The first time ever we've got GT3s and GT4s. And we're seeing the blue flag raised pushing for the first time. The GT3s are lapping the GT4s. We just saw Apex Rogue lapping the slower GT4 cars. And this is what the GT3s have got to the GT3s and the GT4s got to deal with. Usually when I deal with multi-class racing, usually the GT4s keep to their line and the GT3s, they got to make their way around it. So as a GT4 driver, you got to stick to your line. You can't just change your line in the last seconds, otherwise the GT3 driver will be like, hang on, what is the GT4 doing? So when the GT4 driver laps the GT4 driver must stick to their line so the GT3 driver can get past, and that's what Apex Rogue has done. And Floppy Fox has now got to lap, I believe that's Eddie as well. And with the GT3s 10 seconds a lap faster than the GT4s, it took 15 minutes. And so obviously the GT3s are starting to lap the GT4s as well. So Floppy Fox, 1 second to Milden. Let's go on board with him. Just look at the way that they're approaching this tight bend in Snetterton. The crowd are cheering once again. Well, I think we're seeing a battle as well, or is it just multi-class cars being lapped? I don't know. I will keep an eye on the gaps at the moment.
Rogue Mercedes of Corsa made contact in the lapping zones, and there is an overtake and a free wide, and Milden and Floppy Fox. Milden has nearly spun himself to overtake a GT4, and there is side by side between them. Floppy Fox and Milden. Floppy Fox and Milden touched themselves. Milden on the grass multiple times. And Floppy Fox gained position on the BMW. Here is the key factor: lapping GT4s, and apparently the BMW had the worst possible scenario, as it was stuck between not 2 but 3 GT4s. And now Floppy Fox needs to overtake the BMW and the Mercedes, but apparently the BMW and the Mercedes of GT4s are trying to stick to their line, and down the Ferrari is into the inside, launching the car, gaining as much time as possible, as quickly as possible, because the BMW is right behind him. And now there is side by side between the Ferrari and the BMW, and the BMW is in front of the Ferrari, just very air of it. And now they switch position once again.
Yeah, so Milden's about to lap Eddie. So there they come, and sometimes you will see from the drivers the headlights as well saying move out the way. And so for some drivers as well, when we were asked them in the pre-race interviews, in the conferences as well, what they've been looking forward to as well, because for some drivers, this is the first time that they either raced with it, well, basically raced in the GT4s or raced against other GT4s. So that is something to be wary of as well. So what it says in the briefing: the GT3 drivers got to be patient with the GT4s. Don't expect them to vanish in the air in a corner. The GT3 car is responsible for making an overtake, and let the GT4 car pick his line. Keep it easy and simple for both of them, because otherwise both of you will lose a lot of time. So, Floppy Fox then.
We saw it between them, because Milden and Floppy Fox lost in a total of 4 seconds between... the gap is now 4 seconds between Milden and Rogue, just because Milden has made a pretty bad overtaking maneuver, and also let Floppy Fox being stuck behind him, because the overtake maneuver was being done in the second sector, which is basically the most technical one, and there has been a huge problem with overtakes. And now once again, because the BMW is trying to force the overtake before Floppy Fox, because effectively you can use the GT4 to your advantage, maybe launching the car in the right spot, and so putting the GT4 as an obstacle for your rivals can work, and also it's completely possible. But the key factor is that backmarkers give and backmarkers take out. So a possible advantage took by Rogue could easily disappear in seconds if he makes a wrong overtaking maneuver. And in fact, the gap is now 2.8 seconds, where Floppy Fox is still trying to reach as much time as possible, and he's been stuck between two GT4s, and the gap is now, I think, around 2 seconds between him and the BMW in front of him. So, big crash behind! The 209 and Corrado has hit each other, and now both of them are out of the race in turn 1. The McLaren and the Bentley, yes, in GT3. And the Bentley
Both
is in the
GT3s
middle of
as
the...
well. Oh,
Michael Gallo,
that
Corrado.
has got a bit of damage to Corrado there as well. A bit of a shame there. And that has pretty much ended... Not really much ended their race because they could go in the pits, but there's going to be quite a bit of repairs as well. But there's quite a few of you, a lot of you in the chat saying that these multi-class racers spicing up the race is a bit more. And I have to say, I've got to agree. But there's a few people losing positions right now due to the fact that they're not used to multi-class racing. But this is only the first round of the season. Still a lot to learn. Some people, even who have raced in ACC for a long time, this is their first race with the GT4s as well. Don't forget the GT4s are DLC as well, so they can only get it if they pay a season pass as well. So we will find out. So Apex Road then still leads 2.9 seconds over Milden. Floppy Fox, because of the fact that he had to try and get past the GT4s,
Ooh.
he's lost 2 seconds to Milden. We're seeing some more battles. Pit window is open. Pit window is open. So drivers can pit any time from now, and they've got 20 minutes to do so. So that is the most crucial thing. So if they pit any time from now, they can, and then their pit will turn green, and they'll... Oh! No! That's Thomas who had a bit of a spin in the centre straight. And that is costly for the BMW, and I just saw someone retire. I didn't see who that was. Did you see who retired?
By the way, I went to... no, because I was seeing the replay for what happened between the Bentley and the McLaren, and in fact, it wasn't between the Bentley and the McLaren.
Oh, it was Corey.
Talking about the incident in
it was
Turn
Corey.
1.
Corey's out. Corey's out the race. Either a disconnection or a big crash. I don't know, but there we go. So Corey's out the race. We're down to 17 drivers. That's one GT4 down. So Milden, both Milden and Floppy Fox then going for the undercut on Apex Road. So they pitted in the pit window. So that means their panel on the right hand side is not yellow with the number 1 like most drivers now. They are on green. So as long as they pit within that 20-minute window, that's absolutely fine. They can't pit before and they can't pit after. So even if they get damage, like Camo Babo did earlier, Camo Babo would have had to pit once again. But Camo Babo, I have to say, doing a great job trying to catch up to the other GT3s, and he's still trying to catch up to Jason's. A fair play to him right now. So we'll see where Milden and Floppy Fox comes out in relation to Apex Road. Surely Apex Road has got to think about going into the pits right now, seeing his rivals go in. And we're not going to see people on low fuel modes now for the end of the race, because they have to take both fuel and tyres for their pit window. They just can't just bother just having low fuel. They have to take both fuel and tyres. That's a big change for this season as well. So here they come then. So I think Michael's staying out, I believe. No, there's a massive gap as well. So we are going to keep an eye on Milden and Floppy Fox then. Oh no, we can't keep an eye on Milden. As I did the biggest commentators, Kurt and Milden, said to me, Jess, do not jinx me. And I just did. Oh, for goodness sake, Milden. So Milden has spun, so surely that'll put Apex Rogue ahead of Milden. But what that will do in relation to Floppy Fox, so they're approaching the final bend now, does Floppy Fox. And now into the centre straight very soon. Apex Rogue is coming out. And Apex Rogue is in the lead by about 5 or 6 seconds. So Apex Rogue, the overcut worked. So the undercut didn't work to his favour. It might have been that Floppy Fox got caught in traffic, or maybe the gap was just far too much. We don't know. Speaking of the GT4s, Corrado has made his pit stop, but Bowers has done a rookie mistake that you shouldn't really do. He spent the pit lane, he got a drive through, so you have to come in within the next 3 laps. The next 3 laps, I believe, Christian, before you get disqualified. So
no, it's drive-through is for track limits, it's not for speeding in the pit lane.
No, I'm sure it said speeding in the pit lane on my screen for Bowers.
But no, in Assetto Corsa I'm sure that stop and go is for speeding. If you are
right, okay,
if you go track limit, you get a drive-through.
It must be in my imagination then. But yeah, Bowles will have to come in then, once again, to serve his drive-through. So Camo Babbo, he's the next GT3 to come in to the pit lane and come out. So we'll see where he comes. Corrado, I believe, will still be ahead. Obviously, Camo Babbo will need to get past him ASAP because Camo Babbo is a GT3 car, whereas Corrado is a GT4. And so that leaves 5. Oh, Corey's back in the server. Corey's back in the server. So I believe it was a disconnect. So...
No, but I think, I honestly think that this has been the worst possible race for him because first, he started from the pit lane, then he got involved in a crash because what happened in turn 1 between Michael Gallo and Corrado hasn't been between them, but has been because the Mercedes of the Corsa's Mercedes has been in the middle while the Bentley was overtaking him, and basically the McLaren of Corrado was just there and trying to avoid the Bentley spinning in the middle of the track because of the crash. Also crashed himself towards the barrier in turn 1. So actually, the incident between the two GT3 it has been an incident between a GT3 and a GT4, and it is the first race in these kind of things. But basically, the Mercedes was sticking into the right side of the track before turn 1, and kind of in the middle, and the Bentley didn't exactly know where to go and trying to get into the inside, but it was already turn 1, and there has been a touch between the two class of cars. So I just think that this is not the race of his life for Corsa.
No, it is not. Samba is the next GT3 driver to come in then. And we saw Badgerman pit just now as well. Bowers cleared his drive-through penalty as well. So Samba is now also got some GT4 cars to try and pass as well. But it's will be for overall position, but not for position in the championship. So I think regardless, you got to let the GT3 cars through anyway. So Samba gets past the GT4 people, which is good. Our GT4 leader, Car Mentalist, is still leading the net race leader. And he's still got to make his pit stop. As well as Jason in the GT3 and Michael Gallo. Arnold, Khalifa, Eddie and Rageman also got to do their mandatory pit stop. And they've only got 13 minutes to do so. If they don't do it before the 13 minutes, I'm almost certain that Dexter's obviously watching. He's one of our stewards. And he will keep a close eye on who did their compulsory stop with the fuel and tyres in the pit window and who hasn't right now. So, I have got some word on why Camo Babbo pitted on lap 1, because I didn't see he got damage, but his brother's in the chat who raced in season 1. Hello Blair Grills, nice to see you in the chat. But he pit on lap 1 because he forgot to put fuel in his car. That is cruel. That is cruel. So he must have still had his qualifying fuel. So that's why he had to pit. But still, it's a good recovery from last, essentially. So he didn't get damaged. He didn't get involved in any instance. He just had to pit for fuel. Camo Babbo, eh? But thank you, Black Grills, in the chat for saying that as well. But yes, a bit of a shame there. And Christian, more drivers are going in the pit, including our GT4 leader, Car Mentalist. I'm trying to find out who will be the nearest GT4 after Car Mentalist, but we will see. But yeah, our first leading GT4 driver is in the pit now. And he always likes to leave it late, doesn't he, Car Mentalist?
Sorry, what?
Car Mentalist always likes to leave it late by taking a pit stop. He doesn't like to always do it early.
He's more like a type of driver that puts it right in the middle. Nearly every race I saw him pitting basically in the middle, plus or less 3 minutes. He never goes anything. He never does anything fancy, odd, completely out of the schemes like I usually do. And sometimes it goes wrong, sometimes it goes right. But pitting in the middle means that nothing could really ruin your plans. So everything is as standard as possible because it's a bit of a middle ground. If you pit earlier, you can get an undercut, but getting tires a bit of tire wear towards the end. If you pit too late, you can face an overcut, but also you can face an early tire wear, depending on also the fuel and etc. So just pitting in the middle is perfect if you don't want to put your mind in a hell of a tremendous what if. Oh wait, number 22 is off track. Oh, Rageman is off track in just before the start, the main straight in second sector, which is the Audi.
He was, I think he was last anyway in the Audi. So a bit of a shame for Rageman. It's to be fair, he's been also having a poor session. He did not do qualifying, and he's in the GT4s, and he's just losing a bit of time. So he is dead last now out of the runners. Obviously, Corey has retired. He has made his pit stop though, so it is all good. And we got to keep an eye on this battle between Eddie and Carl Mentalist. It won't be pole position because Eddie will have to do his one and only stop. And Flip, I have to say, Flip's pit stop, I have to say, is pretty incredible. Flip is going to be a net P2. He's actually a net P2 in this race now in the GT4 class. So I have to say, haven't not heard of him before tonight, but I know some of you in the chat have. Brilliant debut so far from Flip in the GT4s as well, keeping it controlled as well. Hasn't been involved in any instance so far, and we're seeing Eddie go in, Khalifa is in, so I believe that's, apart from Corey who's retired, that's all the GT4 drivers that have done their mandatory stop. So that is good news for that, so hopefully no penalty points awarded. So it just leaves Michael Gallo to do so. He doesn't have that long left though. He's got 8 minutes and 45 seconds. You can see it on the right hand side, the time that he's got left. So I do believe that the engineering game will remind him, you don't have long left, you don't have long left. Usually it's helpful to have a crew chief installed in the game, as I think he's thinking about going into the pits now actually. Yes, he is. So he is the last driver.
Oh, Kamobo is already is again off track in turn 1, and it's.
Go away, camera. The camera's taking a while to register. Camo Babo's off there, but he is off, and he's dropped. I think he won't. He is losing a bit of time now, but he hasn't dropped to Jason. So, but to be fair, it is easy to lose it in turn 1, unfortunately. So a bit of a shame for the Bentley driver. So, can he catch up to Corrado? It's going to be hard, but never say never. We'll look at, we haven't looked at our GT4s for quite a long time, actually. We've got Khalifa, who has got a GT3 car right up his bum at the moment. His gearbox, as I'm about to say, so 34 against, I think, I'm trying to see which GT3 car is lapping Khalifa. I think it might be Corrado, I think. Yes, it is Corrado. So Khalifa getting out of the way, Corrado getting past, and that's how you do the lapping successfully in a GT3 car. So good job, boys. You did that very, very well. So that wasn't a battle there as well. Gap between Khalifa and the nearest rival, Badgerman, 2.7 seconds. Between Arnaud and Flip, 5 seconds. Arnaud is doing a good job as well. And net third, well, is actually, because all the GT4s are pitted, he is third place in the GT4s, so he could be on course for his first podium on his debut. Of course, he races in the F1 side as well, but this is his first ever race on ACC with us. I believe he's raced in ACC in the past, in other leagues, but not with us.
Oh, so. Corrado is off track in turn 1 also.
Oh, so many people going off turn 1, Christian. It's just so difficult just to lose it there. It's just a bit of a shame there. We'll see if Jason makes through turn 1 all right. Shame the camera just cuts at the wrong time there, so you can barely see it. But good news, Christian. Every single, well, apart from Corey, so I don't think Corey's going to get back into the session. Every single driver has done their mandatory stop. They followed the pit procedure correctly. We can all go home happy. No disqualifications, no penalties for people not following the pit procedure. Big group. Dexter can go home happy as well.
Compared to how the lapping session has been, the pit stop has been very clear, especially because this is not a track that has many races on because of its tractor being a Alton. Basically, the track is as bumpy as Alton Park, but it's a bit more straight in terms of layout. The fact is that turn 1 is very bumpy compared to the other, basically the wall part of the track. As any British track in the British GT pack, it's extremely odd because the structure of this type of track is not it has not been seen anywhere close. Nothing close has been made, and I will say luckily, because as we've seen, many drivers have made multiple mistakes, especially in turn 1, but also just before the straight, and I think it is turn 9 maybe. Yeah, okay, no, it's turn 8. And the fact is, this track especially gives a lot of evidence on both slow corners and slow hairpin, most especially, but also straight line speed. You need both of them, and it's very difficult when you have this combination of what do you need to do. In GT4 it's pretty easy. You turn the car, you turn it on track, adjust the pressure, do something a bit random, but in GT4 it's easy. In GT3 you really need to concentrate and understand where you are stronger, where you are weaker, where the setup can get better, when can get worse if you do something, some edits. And this track is very tricky for this kind, because it has a lot of it requires a good straight line speed, but also a very good slow cornering speed. And it's when you try to get the maximum possible towards the straight line speed, you tend to lose the car in some spots, and this is why some drivers turn up on the grass while going through turn 1. I think that 22 is already off track. Yes, he's still off track.
That is Rageman, who's gone off track again. He's 3 laps down. Well, he's 2 laps down. Car Mentalist, 1 lap down. Well, 3 laps down the GT3s, and I wonder if that's his session over, because he has gone into the pits there. So I wonder if that's game over for the Audi GT4 driver of Rageman. So a bit of a shame. So we've got 2 retirements already, but we are encouraged in these GT3s to not give up when the going gets tough, because we do have an ERT going gets tough award, as said earlier on in the stream. Dexter would love me saying all of that. Closest battle we got on track, only battle that we've got on track. We may as well go on board with these lovely people. It is Camo Babo versus Corrado. 4/10, well, it was 4/10 per second, now it's 8/10, dropping just a little bit. Let's go on the onboard shot. The sun is glaring down at the moment. It's 8:44 p.m. in game, and all we could see, someone try and go for the move. I think Corrado made a little bit of a mistake there, going side by side into this tight bend there. Camo Babo almost got the car to a beautiful position to get the overtake done. But Corrado's like, you know what, you're not getting that position. The Bentley is a huge thing compared to the McLaren. This was actually the same livery that Car Mentalist used when he won in season 1 of ACC. So I wonder if Corrado has had sort of a good luck charm. So
like a lucky foot.
Yeah, like a lucky foot, because I have to say, good defending, and he's pulled away for Camababa again, so a slight mistake did not hurt him in a way, and he's handling the pressure a bit more as well. Usually when I make a mistake, usually the pressure gets to me a bit and I tend to struggle a bit more, but these drivers, they have a lot more experience. So there we go. So the pit window is closed in 1 minute, but luckily everyone has done their pit stops anyway, so no need to worry about that. But since obviously Corey's still in the session, you'll see the number 1 and you'll see what happens when they do not make their pit stop. So you get to see the best of both worlds there. So Carmentalist still leads the GT4 class, Apex Rogue still leads the GT3 class. Both of those drivers not being challenged in their respective classes, so with those 2 drivers could be the drivers we speak to in the interviews later on. Apex Rogue, we rarely speak to in the winners table, so I believe it will be his first ever win in ACC One-Hub Racing. But for Camo Babo, how much time could he find? 1:51.9 was his last lap. I will keep an eye on the other laps as well. But Camo Babo, he is losing a bit of time compared to Corrado.
Oh, Milden is off track again!
Milden off track. Milden, when can't he catch a break in this race? He's still in 3rd position, but all this is just going to allow Gallo in 4th position just to gain. I swear, he's like a magnet. He just wants to be spun on something like that. And he's trying to get past Badgerman as well, but Badgerman is trying to catch up to the likes of Khalifa, Arnaud as well. Someone else is off the track. It's
Rageman. No, yeah, it's Rageman again.
Yeah, it's Rageman who's a few laps down anyway, so obviously Badgerman doesn't need to worry about that at the moment. But my oh my, that was probably the closest thing I've ever seen at the moment. But Milden, just stop spinning, for goodness sake. He is a runner-up in previous seasons, and he just seems to be struggling. I think last season he struggled a bit at the start of the season, and then he picked up again and decided to go back to his old self very soon as well. So these two have got a lot of work to do. Obviously Rageman near the back, Milden surprisingly still on the podium even after that spin, so it just goes to show that Milden can be quick on his day even with those spins. Camo Babo then, 2 attempts.
I think Carmentalist made a mistake. Yeah, definitely. Carmentalist made a mistake somewhere because the gap was 5 seconds between him and Flip, and now it's 1.7 seconds. So now the GT4 battle is among Carmentalist, Flip, and RT.
Yeah, because I just realised that actually. The gap wasn't as big as it was. It was 5 seconds, yeah. So we've got a battle for P6 in the GT3, and we got a battle for the lead finally in the GT4 class. And Carmentalist is going to hate me for saying this as well, for jinxing him, but you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I won't do the same when I commentate for Bathurst in 4 weeks' time. So Arnaud is right behind as well. Arnaud could be in the battle for the win of this race as well, in the GT4s as well. This is going to be intense. Grab your popcorn. We don't have long to go in this race. I kind of wish it was 75 minutes because I do not want it to be over in 17 minutes because there's action is starting to ramp up. It's usually like this in the ACC, isn't it? Start of the race, gets busy. Middle of the race, quite quiet for most drivers. And then this part of the race, it really starts to heat up a little bit. The tyres start to cool, the track cools as well, which means more battling as well. And I think more cars will start to close in ever so slightly. And I think everyone is starting to get used to getting lapped by the dreaded GT3s. To be fair, the 998 of Corrado is going to try and do the same thing. And I believe that's Apex Rogue as well. So Apex Rogue is about to lap Corrado too. This is going to be tight then. So a GT3 lapping a GT3. And so a car again has to take a similar approach to what the GT4 has done earlier on in the race. Arnaud's probably lost a bit of time there to Flip Bordeaux. And Flip's lost a bit of time to Carmentalist. He lost about 5/10 of a second there to Carmentalist there. We've got quite a few Flip fans in the chat. Tom said keep pushing, Flip. He is trying his best. Everyone is actually trying their best to get the moves done. And we could see people's best result in this league as well. So we will see what happens. Where's Floppy Fox in relation to Apex Rogue? Apex Rogue.
Just behind. It's not too far. It's 3 seconds and so.
3.8. So it could close up. Apex Rogue's got to get past the other GT3 and GT4s though, because otherwise Floppy Fox could be like, you know what, I could try and catch up easily as well. So this is a very tight exit heading towards the final corner. So Floppy Fox gets past Flip quite nicely. There he goes. Everyone's pretty much being passed by GT3s right now. That's how tense it is as well. So
in this moment, the Flip is very lucky because he's been overtaken by the GT3s nearly all the times. 4 GT3 have passed him in this last lap, and 3 of those 4 passes were on the straight line. So he really lost very little time compared to Carmentalist in terms of where to let the other pass. But Carmentalist was a bit more clever in these overtaking opportunities for the GT3s because he lost even less time compared to his rival right now. In fact, he has also gained a second because this is where what I was talking about earlier before the race. Also, the strategy is to...
Oh! Floppy Fox
is off the track!
Floppy Fox is off the track! Sorry to cut you off there, but that is huge. That is absolutely huge for Floppy Fox. He was running so well. He is very lucky that Milden is so far back because that could have ended in disaster. But surely that must mean Apex Rogue has got it more easier now for the win of this race. But never say never. The gap's now 9.4 seconds. And I was on board with Floppy Fox as well. Ah, what a shame. But no damage, I don't think. He just got a bit of grass on his tyres, which is never good. But yeah, one of the favourites in the GT3 category. He's bottled it, unfortunately. But to be honest, it was too close for comfort. That kind of made me jump there for a time being, didn't it? So there we go. And Bowers and Badgerman are getting quite close into turn 1. Well, it was past turn 1 actually. And heading towards the bend now. 1.5 seconds actually, so he is finding his time. And we've got Eddie 12.7 seconds down the road. And then we have got... Is Arnell still catching up to Flip? Yes, he is. Arnell's caught up to Flip by quite a lot now, once again. So this could be a battle for P2, Christian, in GT4s.
Yeah, Arnold gained massively in this last phase because before the overtakes from the major class, the gap was around 2.5 seconds, and now he's back at 1.1 second. Arnold's really stretching his Porsche as much as he can to get into Philippe, and Philippe will probably try to get into Carmentalist. I think Carmentalist getting some advantage in the early phase of the race. He probably managed to not get too much wear into his tires, not too much in comparison, because also it's been like I think Philippe just fitted some minutes before his 2 rivals, and it has been enough probably to not slow him down completely, but just those 1-2 tenths slower. And still now probably it was just a moment because now the gap is 1.6 seconds, and he also gained on Carmentalist, so probably it was just a moment of overheat in the tires, and now he starts to gain again. Also, I don't know if it's about the setup, because although the setup in GT4s is very little effective, it's still effective. You can still gain some temps if you manage to get the setup done right for some section of the race, which from what I understood is basically the main, basically the second sector. So I think it's about now, yes, Second and first sector is where the Porsche of Philip gains the most on Arnaud and Carmentalist.
Yes.
Carmentalist has a more all-track configuration, probably. He's good basically in every single aspect of the track. Philip is probably better on the final part of the track. In fact, in the first sector, he's struggling a lot, especially now because I've just seen that he tried to let the BMW of Milden pass by, and he's lost a ton of time. I think around 1 second. Now it will get into the inter time, and yes, in fact, he lost a whole second to Arnaud. Now the battle for second place is effective because the two Porsches are
No, now
less
he's
than a
gone
second.
a bit. I thought he went a bit wide there for the time being, but I think that's how you take
No,
the
no,
corner.
no.
That's how you take the corner. Okay, so I panicked a bit there. 7/10 now is the gap. He's gaining quite a bit in cornering speed as well now, so it might be due to his setup a little bit. But then Flip gains a bit on the
Corrado's off
straight.
track.
Who's off track?
Corrado.
Corrado once again.
Corrado is off track and lost position.
Corrado has lost position to Samba, I believe. So Samba, who...
No, so Cornabo. Mababo.
Oh, Cabababo as well, so... Yeah, that is...
No, Samba is my side.
So, quite a few positions lost for Corrado, so that is a shame. He's just been unlucky, hasn't he, with the spins. I think the big spinners, I have to say, Corrado, Milden, Rageman, Eddie as well spun quite a few times. Everybody else seems to be okay. I haven't seen much spins from them, but they might have spun off camera. That I obviously did not see, but there we go. If you are liking the action, by the way, follow us on Twitch already if you haven't already. Follow us on Twitter as well, at 100race for both of them. We also upload the VODs of all our Twitch streams to our YouTube channel, usually a day or two after the race. So if you have missed pretty much most of the action, you can pretty much watch it back afterwards. And I know some of the drivers will like to do that as well. So make sure you check that out very, very soon. Gap now to the leader, 6.8 seconds. It's a shame that battle for the lead was cut short in the GT3 due to Floppy Fox mistake. So he's got to be on it for the entirety of the last stint. He's got 8 minutes and 36 seconds to go. But I have to say, the impressive battles I've seen this race have got to be from the GT4s and also from Camababa and the GT3s with Corrado as well. The GT4s have been the most impressive so far, and it's my first experience actually commentating on these GT4s, and obviously I've got all the cars mixed up with who's in what class, but again, this is something we will get used to as the season goes by, because even though I won't be in the commentary box next week, I will still be in the chat, I will still be watching, so I will still be taking note as well. And Flip's gained a bit to car mentalist there as well, but not a lot. What's the gap between Khalifa and Arnold actually? Those are quite a bit of rivalry there forming as well. There's actually quite a bit of a gap as well, but to Bowers 3.8 separates them as well. So Bowers, I have to say Bowers I think you can tell who's teammates because Bowers and Corrado have similar liveries, but Bowers is in a net P5 in the GT4s right now. I'm doing a great job so far. Good points on the board. Obviously, if you do finish, because there's 10 drivers in each split, you will score points. So, plenty of incentives to do well. And obviously, let us know your thoughts in the chat. Do you like this GT3 and GT4 format, and would you prefer it to stay? I like it to stay. It's the best thing that 100 Racing has ever done in ACC. So thank you to Dexter, Milden, and Nick for thinking of these great ideas in the league. Have we got any more battles on now that it has lost a bit of time to Flip this lap? So surely, unless Flip makes a big mistake, Flip could get P2. Arnold has got to gain a lot in his final few minutes, but he must have something saved in the tank with the fuel. He must be pushing! Has someone... Is it Flip? Flip's
Philip is off track!
Another commentator's curse. I lost count of how many commentators' curse I did unintentionally on stream. But I said Flip was going to get comfortable second place. And now Flip had a spin. Arnold almost made contact with Flip. Arnold's not up into second place pretty much in this race. I think it's going to be hard to catch up to Competizione, but never say never. We'll see what the gap is when the timings decide to behave itself, please. Thank you. 4.4 seconds. So, if
it's more.
So
it's 8 seconds.
It does take a while to update. And between Flip and Arnold is 8 seconds. Yeah, I was talking about the gap between Arnold and Competizione, the gal for the lead. So the only way for Arnold to win this race is to gain 2 seconds per lap, which is quite impossible for him because Competizione is one of the fastest drivers in this league, in the GT4s. But if Arnold could pull a miracle on Competizione, you never know. You never know. Competizione could make a mistake. And Dexter's just chewing on in the chat, go on waffle, man. Well, they are called the Belgian waffles for a reason. Arnold is Belgian, believe it or not. And he is a nice man as well. I have raced him many times in many leagues, and he's very, very fair, very, very clean as well. But there's been many times where he's lapped me. Pretty much.
It's not the way he lost it.
Yeah, he had a bit of a tank stopper there in that corner, so he has lost a bit of time to calm into this. But there we go.
No, I mean, Philip, the way he lost it, basically he was trying to push as hard as possible, and perhaps, because I was looking at him, and initially I didn't realize he was the one that spun, because I was watching all the three of them constantly, and from what I've seen, basically he was pushing so hard towards turn 4 that he actually lost the rear. In fact, he didn't go off track, he just spun. So I just think that he found the limit of his car, and unfortunately the worst possible moment.
That is Arnold's teammate actually of Samba lapping Philip, so there we go. That is why you should have similar liveries, guys, because then I know also if it's a GT3 or if it's a GT4. But the GT4s will be near the back anyway. So 3 minutes and 50 seconds left to go of this race. The GT3 leader at the moment is Apex Road. Gap is quite some margin. And Competizione has gained 1 second on Arnold. So I think the battles... Actually, I'm not going to say anything more. I said some bad stuff about Philip and jinxed him, so... But it is Philip's first time in GT4s. Okay, I did not know that. Even though it's his first time with us, it's his first time with GT4. So, to be fair, he was in the net second for a long time in this race, so he's doing a pretty good job. But he still could get a podium because everybody else is quite a bit down on Philip. So, I have to say, still very impressive. And to be fair, it was only a small spin. He only lost about 3-4 seconds. Wait a minute. He lost about 7 seconds. But still, it could have been worse. He could have lost like 20 seconds and had damage. So, fair play to him. And he could be a regular podium sitter in GT4s if he could keep this up. So, Apex Rogue in the lead. Floppy Fox.
Ooh! Achilles off track is 998. It's Corrado again.
It was that gone off the track, sorry?
Corrado, the McLaren.
Corrado in the McLaren has gone off again. How many spins is that for him? I don't know, but he is getting uncomfortable with the car. He's second last in the GT3s at the moment. And will that allow... Is Jason on the same lap? I don't know. If he is, Jason could be like, you know what? That could be a position gain and you won't be last. So, we will see. And don't forget, this is also Arnold and Khalifa's first time in the GT4s as well. And those two are doing a stellar job as well. So speaking of that, Bowers and Khalifa are going to be having a nice battle for P4 of this race. And we got the number 8 of Floppy Fox lapping Bowers. And that is another example on how you do it, but that's going to lose Bowers a bit of time. So he's going to hope that the GT3 gets out of the way of Khalifa as soon as he can, because otherwise it's going to be a whole second, which he does. So, and I have to say, some good-looking Lambos on the grid. Good-looking Porsches as well. I think Jason's the only Lambo actually on the grid. Yeah, Jason's the only Lambo on the grid. The rest are all Porsches, BMWs, Ferraris, Audis. We only got one Mercedes at the moment, and that is Corey, who's retired. And I thought there would only be one Bentley, but there's two. So the Bentleys are coming out in full force as well. And we're about to approach the end of this race. Apex Road then crosses the line. It's on the final lap.
No, the 24 is off track. It was catching Khalifa, but unfortunately he went off track just in the last turn. And apparently he lost about 5 to 10 seconds to his rival.
So I have to say, Bowers was on course to be getting P4 from Khalifa, but Khalifa could believe a sigh of relief there. And we saw Eddie and Badgerman fight.
Behind.
We saw Eddie and Badgerman fight earlier on towards the beginning of this race. They're sitting towards the end as well. Side by side then, into turn one, it's BMW versus Aston Martin as they make towards the bend of turn two. Can the number 92 get past the Aston Martin and make a bit of contact there? So easy to do though as they head towards turn three as Eddie's gone wide a little bit. Oh no, it's not Eddie that's gone wide. It's Badgerman has gone wide actually. They are similar cars, it's hard to tell, but they're both in the RT after all. But it is Eddie that is ahead of Badgerman, but some good battling there as well. And I'm just trying to see where Apex Rogue is on track. He's not long to go before we reach the end of this race. But we still got Eddie and Badgerman fighting, so we've got to watch them as well. I think Badgerman has lost a bit of time there, but he's still got it all to gain. Oh, he could almost try and get him here as well, but we will watch them in just a second because here comes Apex Rogue. He took the lead of the race at the start, had a brilliant start compared to Milden. He never looked back, and he goes towards the centre straight. He flashes lights. He knows what this means to him. He wins his first ever race on One Racing ACC in the GT3 class. Brilliant stuff, and his car Mentalist going to cross the line soon. He's not that long to go. Actually, nope, he's in a different part of the track. So we got Badgerman's lost a bit of time, so we're going to have no battles there. Floppy Fox will come across the line in P2 in the GT3. Milden will round off the podium in the GT3s as well. He's still happy, even though he spun a few times, which is, to be fair, a bit of a shame that. We still got our GT4 class leader at the moment, still negotiating the final part of the lap. So that will mean Michael Galo will come across the line soon. Yes, he will. So he finished in 4th position, I have to say, for a debutant into this league. A stellar performance from him. Pretty much no mistakes from Michael Gallo. He performed well all race. Hardly any battles though, but he kept it together. Samba, after, I have to say, good comeback drive. 5th, Camo Baba as well. Good finish. And let's go on board with Car Mentalist as he is going to cross the line to take maximum points in the GT4 class. He's flashing his lights. He finishes in style. He continues where he's left off in last season. And he leads the championship now in GT4s. Arnaud comes across the line. He takes 2nd place on his debut race in the league and in the GT4s. And Flip comes across the line in 3rd. So that is your result then. Apex Rogue is the winner of the GT3s. Car Mendes is the winner of the GT4s. And that is a good first race. Good first multi-class race for us in at ACC at One Hub Racing. Christian, what did you think?
Apart from certain moments with blue flags, obviously first race, some drivers still need to adapt to the fact that GT4 have to stick to a line and not trying to defend / battling for position with higher class racing. It went pretty well, plenty of action compared to the fact that some drivers were effectively battling for position with the GT4 battling for position in the middle of the battle, and basically the race has just become a chess but at high speed, a very high speed chess with multiple players battling into the chessboard. So I'm not sure how easy is that to try, but yeah.
To be fair,
Supremacy by Porsche in
you get
GT4.
races like that, don't you, where it gets quite quiet. But it definitely made up for it towards the end of the race as well. And we just seen Apex reaction in the chat. He couldn't quite believe it. He's lost for words. And Apex, mate, if you're watching this, which you are, well deserved. And get your butt in the voice chat for some interviews, because we are going to be interviewing the winners from each class. So we'll be interviewing Apex Road for the GT3s and then Car Mentalist for the GT4s. There is a rating for interview VC ready for you, and we'll keep your seats warm, don't worry. Whoever turns up first will interview first. So, but there's one thing that I literally almost forgot to do, is for the first time in 2022, I think we're still doing this, Dexter, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got to pick one driver of the day each and pick a question. So, I literally do not know. I will have to give, well, actually no. Since you are the co-com, I will let you go first. Who is your driver of the day? What would you like to ask him before we get our interviewees in?
I actually want to award the driver of the day to the surprise of the race. As I said before, there may be some surprise, and in fact, I just noticed that a driver took my eye, because Philip in the GT4 class was very close to Car Mentalist, and I have a lot of experience with him, and I know that Car Mentalist is very fast. So encountering someone that was very close to him is a bit of a surprise to me. So my question is, if this is the first time racing in GT4, and if so, how did he feel towards the transition between GT3s and GT4?
Good question. And I thank goodness you didn't pick who I was going to pick, because you've gone for a GT4 driver, I'm going for a GT3 driver, and I'm going for the race winner, Apex Road, because it is his first win in GT3 and in ACC in general, because he's mainly an F1 driver. He had a brilliant start. I have to say, one of the best starts I've seen in a while. And he had pressure with the likes of Floppy Fox and Milden. Didn't let that phase him, and he just dominated the whole race. And my question is, were you expecting to take the win of the race after seeing the lineup on the grid? Because your performance was excellent today. That is my question. So, you know what? Let's bring one of our driver of the days in, and our race winner in as well. We'll start with the GT3s first. Mr. Apex Rogue, your first ever win in ACC in the GT3s against the big guns. And you get my driver of the day nomination as well. You're welcome. Tell us, how does it feel?
Amazing. I didn't expect that coming into the season at all. I thought I would be behind Milton, Floppy Fox and all that, considering the pace last season, but I'm just shocked myself.
Yes, talk us through that qualifying then as well, because you surprised me in terms of your pace. We thought you were going to be up there towards, like, I would say P3, P4, but I wasn't expecting you to be near Milden as well. Your qualifying you must have got it in all the right places there.
Yeah, it looks like it. I had a very shaky qualifying actually. I had like 2 clean laps the entire time, and the rest of them I was drifting. I think I heard in the stream you said that. But yeah, I just got it right in all the right places. I actually went like a second or 2 quicker than my practice time, so I'm
wow.
really confused how that happened. But yeah, it was just perfect, the lap that I did.
I think you saw a few spins in pretty much behind you and in front of you during the race as well. Pretty much. I was going to talk about what happened during the race, but not much happened during the race because you were in the front for all of it, pretty much. So you weren't in any battles or anything. So we'll talk about your start there. Milden was on pole. You got the perfect launch. Talk us how you approached the start, because it must have been a lot of pressure trying to get P1 against pretty much a GT3 legend.
Yeah, I told myself at the start of the race I have an hour to do this. If I have the pace, I can do it. And I think it was Milden's fault there that he just didn't have the best start, because I didn't feel like I had the best start. But I
So he
just
probably
blew
made a bit
away.
of a mistake there.
I think he's went a bit too slow at the start or at the end of it. I don't know how that happened, but I was just concerned about being able to keep Floppy Fox behind the entire time. I never thought that Milden would make mistakes and that I could get ahead of him, but once I got ahead, I was like 3 seconds ahead in the first 2 laps, I think. I'm not sure, but that was a lot.
Yeah, you probably were lost for words when you saw Milden made that mistake at the start as well. So that probably must have gained you an advantage as well. Just because we need to interview obviously Carl Mentis as well, and we got to wrap up the stream soon as well. Next week, I need to check what track we're on next week. Laguna Seca. So we head to America next week. So we're not in Britain anymore. 1, have you raced around here? And 2, are you confident about this track going into next week?
I have done a lot of Laguna Seca on iRacing and GT Sport, but I think I've raced it once on ACC. I don't have much confidence going into it, but I didn't have any confidence going into the race today, so I think it's just a lot more practice to try and keep up there.
Until you don't touch the sand, you are good.
Yeah.
Basically, the sand in the track is ice.
That is true, especially that downhill section as well. I tried that on iRacing, is absolutely hell. But there we go. Christian, any questions for our GT3 race winner?
I know that for the fact that trying to battling for first position always gives you some excitement, and especially winning. I still remember the first time I won in Assetto Corsa. I was like, I won basically Max Verstappen, but in my room. So how did you feel? How did it feel in that moment for you?
That last lap was very, very I was very, very, very nervous. I was really, really trying to keep as much as I could. I think I only had like 4 liters at the end, so I was fuel saving for the last 2 or 3 laps, just to try and keep enough fuel for the end. But that last lap, I think I had an error going into the last 2 corners, and once I got onto that straight and I seen that that's all there is, I was shouting. I love sim racing, and being able to win races and leagues is amazing.
Yes, and what's more as well, your team has got off to a perfect start in Volkswagen Racing. Your teammate also won in the GT4 class as well, which means your team is leading the constructors. So is that a perfect match in heaven, knowing that your teammates won there as well? Are you confident that you could both of you could do it in round 2?
I am really hoping so. Obviously a lot of practice to do, but whenever a car mentalist and I teamed up, I knew that at least I knew from the GT4 side of the race that car mentalist would be very reliable to be able to bring in a lot of good points. And if I made mistakes, I might actually be all right with it.
But you didn't make a mistake today.
I didn't make any mistakes in the race. Thankfully, they came out in qualifying. But yeah, being able to have a teammate like car mentalist and two seasons now champion, so it's great being able to have him, knowing that he can bring back as much as he can.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's also been a double winning team.
Yeah, double winning team. Could we have the similar thing next week? We'll have to wait and see. So we just interviewed our GT3 winner, first time winner. Congratulations, Apex Rogue. I'll let you go and celebrate. And now we're going to be interviewing someone who's used to winning in our leagues and pretty much on ACC as well. So we're going to get him in as well. He's of course, Apex Rogue's teammate as well. Here we go then, we've got Carl Mentalist in the booth once again. We're pretty much getting used to this, just like last season. Before we start properly, how are the GT4s for you? Because is it the first time you've run in the GT4s?
Hi guys, yeah, that is the first time I've competitively driven a GT4 car on this game, which was a bit of a baptism of fire to say the least. But yeah, that was amazing. Thank you, Jess, as well, for not commentators cursing me today.
You're welcome. I was a bit worried that I was going to do that, but luckily you just kept the car on the road and I didn't embarrass myself there. But another win for you. Was it what you were expecting to get the win?
Not at all, really, coming into it. I did a bit of practice Sunday night, was kind of when I did the majority of my practice, and I could see in the session I was in, I was doing fairly similar times to Eddie when he was in the session as well. And I felt the car was quite a handful, so I was like, someone else has probably got a better handle on one of these GT4 cars and they're going to do a better job. But I think that's just the way of the world with GT4 cars by the looks of things. I think they're just a handful across the board. So, wasn't expecting it. I was expecting hopefully to be towards the front, but to win on my first race in the GT4 car, definitely didn't expect it, especially at a track as difficult as Snetterton.
Yeah, because obviously you're used to the GT3s. How long did it take for you to get used to GT4s, knowing that it's slower than the GT3s? Because is it easier or is it harder, do you think?
Weirdly, I think the GT4 cars are harder to drive, I think. I think because with I had this a couple of times in the race. There was a part in the race, maybe about 20 minutes from the end, where I lost a lot of my lead because sometimes when you outbrake yourself in a GT3 car, you can kind of rely on the grip and the downforce to keep you on the road. But in a GT4 car, if you step over the line even slightly, you don't have the downforce or the grip or anything like that to stop you from going off the road. So I went off the road at turn 1 because I broke slightly a bit too late and was just never recovering it. So they're a handful to begin with, and the margin for error is a lot smaller. So you've got to be on the line all the time, otherwise if you've got to be pushing it, otherwise you're really, really slow. But if you push it too much, it's really unforgiving. So yeah, it was very difficult to get used to.
You are the first person ever to say something like this. You know it.
Well, you see, he's downplaying expectation before the season, and he usually comes out on top. You see, that he's doing a Lewis Hamilton, you know. So you had a bit of a clearer in front as well, not much trouble behind as well. But were you a bit worried that the likes of Flip was catching towards the end?
I was a little bit worried, especially after my mistake. I knew that I was one mistake away from them being right on me as well. But I feel like Flip and who was the other one behind me? Arnold, wasn't it? Arnold, they were the two behind me. I think they were more focused on each other, really. They were quite close to one another, so I had the opportunity to kind of gap them. And I think the GT3 cars coming through the field, really kind of helped me in a sense that people behind couldn't really get their momentum together to go for a charge, because they would go for a couple of laps and maybe close in a little bit, and then they'd have to get out of the way for a GT3 car, and it would kind of ruin their momentum. So I think that in a sense helped me as well. So yeah, I was worried about a mistake, but in terms of maybe actual speed by the end of the race, I wasn't too concerned about losing the lead.
Yes, we head to Laguna Seca next week. We saw that Apex Row might be a bit worried there. Have you ever raced around there, and what do you think are the challenges going into next week? Are you going to get another win, or do you think someone else will challenge you next week in the GT4s?
So I am not a fan of Laguna, to say.
No one is.
No one is.
No one is, but at least in the GT3 cars, I really, really disliked the track. I think the first half of the track is okay, and then obviously the corkscrew as well is quite memorable, but a lot of the corners, they're so bumpy, the track is so bumpy that the cars really aren't used to it, so it's really difficult to kind of find a rhythm around the track because you're bumping along the surface of the track quite a lot. So it's quite a difficult track to manage. I don't know how it's going to be in a GT4 car. I think Snetterton's pretty flat in terms of elevation change, and the cars were a handful here, so I can't imagine what they're going to be like at Laguna. I think they're going to be a little bit crazy. So I think that one's going to be a race of survival more than anything else for me.
Yeah, best of luck for that one. And Christian, any questions?
Basically, you said everything I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to ask you how did you feel with GT4s, but you already answered everything.
So
I don't have anything in mind right now.
okay, that's absolutely fine then. So, congratulations to our GT4 winner, Car Mentalist, and also our team leader as well, because Apex Rogue also won in the GT3. So, congratulations. I'll go and let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Well done. So, that is the end of the stream then for ACC Season 3. The hype was there pretty much since the last few weeks, and we eventually got to the start of the race, and to be honest, I loved it. It was brilliant, and obviously Christian did a great job alongside me as well. Sad news is, well, it's a bittersweet moment, I won't be here next week, because the sweet part of it is John's gonna be here for the next 2 weeks. He's gonna be back. Surely he's gonna have some fun having some multi-class action to commentate on as well. But the good news is you'll still have Christian alongside John as well, so you'll still get to hear Christian's beautiful Italian voice. So it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be here for round 4 in Bathurst. Good luck to me on that one, trying to commentate on that. I'm going to enjoy that, but thank you for joining us. Before we go, let's give a last plug on our sponsors. So a big thanks to SimGrid for powering the league this season. They're the ones going to be doing all the standings for us, and obviously controlling the back end and stuff, and also helps us with our sign-ups. Make sure you follow us on SimGrid. Go on to the host section and find One Hub Racing. Thank you very much. We also sponsored by Next Level Racing, who provide prizes to our F1 leagues as well, and do a lot to support the league pretty much since the very start. So thank you to Next Level Racing. 3M Sim Racing provide a pair of sim racing gloves as our prizes as well. So thank you very much to them. Vespertine, that provide merch and money for our prizes. So thank you very much to them as well. And finally, our partners ERT, who sponsored the ERT Go and Get Stuff Award, which we talked about earlier. And a big thank you to all our ERT drivers as well for racing in this league. So those were our sponsors. We've gone through a sponsor. We've gone through our driver of the day. I think we've gone through everything. Like we said, next week, join us. Well, join John and Christian same time next week, 7 p.m. UK time, for Laguna Seca, another 60-minute race. Will we see Apex Rogue and Aiden take the top spots once again in their classes, or will we see someone different take the fold and we'll make it 2 from 2? We'll have to wait and see. I've been Jess, Christian's been Christian. Have a good evening. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Good night.